TNA Impact Wrestling wrestler Bram is here. Bram, first I just got to ask you, how would Bram describe Bram to someone?
I think he would just say insane. That's it. One word, insane.
And I think that one word says a lot too.
Yeah, it's pretty true to it's pretty close to the truth as well.
Bram, how did you get into wrestling and all, and what was it like growing up and trying to get into wrestling? Because it's totally different than in the United States.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think I started getting into it around the age of 12 or 13. I didn't have Sky, which is like cable, so I just had to borrow tape. So I'd go around to friends' houses, or even sleep in like my parents' friend's house, just so I could play up till 1 in the morning to watch Raw. And,
what would they say? Ah, come on over,
they were fine with it, yeah. So I just sit there all night trying to fall asleep, as I'm trying to watch it. I think I was about the age of 15 or 16, and then I heard that a friend of mine was wrestling, and I didn't know there was like independence or anything around at that time, so I just thought that it was, I thought it was WWE or something, but it wasn't, just some local independent. And I met with him, and then I started refereeing.
Well, that's the thing, Bram, because I don't mean to interrupt, but that's the thing, like you were saying you watched WWE growing up and all, right?
Nothing else existed.
That's what I mean. So is that because, like, in Florida, you don't have to be a fan of TV wrestling to know there are indie shows going on and indie groups? Well, for some reason, also, was it not that's not promoted that much at that time?
No, there was a lot of tribute shows like Pretend Undertakers, Pretend Hardy Boys, stuff like that. I remember seeing posters for that and thinking it was the real deal as a kid. But there's nothing. There was no internet back then. It wasn't. It was. I couldn't afford. We couldn't afford cable, so I didn't know it really existed until other kids at school that had a bit more money, would tell me about it. So, but yeah, so I eventually started like refereeing some shows and stuff. Then I started wrestling without any experience.
You were refereeing at what age?
15 or 16.
What was that like? Because obviously, but obviously you're a young kid, you're refereeing, but you're refereing some older guys too and all like that. Was it hard to have them take you serious, or they were pretty good with you?
No, they were always cool. I don't know. It was different. It wasn't a very big company or anything. It was just some local, maybe about 8 people in the crowd. So no, I was just more nervous because I didn't want to mess up. I didn't want to screw up a finish or anything like that. But it was, it was what it was. And it was only when I turned 18 I moved to Harrogate, and then I went to Drew McDonald and Jeff Kay's wrestling school. Drew's just passed away, so R.I.P. Drew.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Drew just passed away recently of cancer, so.
He did a lot for wrestling in that, and all. And I remember reading
Drew real well, love him to death. So he's going to be missed. I mean, I've got some wild stories about Drew, but I'll keep them
save
to myself.
those. Yeah.
But so I started there, and then started wrestling, then getting on other shows and things like that, and then it kind of just snowballed. And Jeff Kay, kind of the guy that mainly trained me, he was close to Finley, so eventually he'd start taking us to tryouts and things like that.
Did they have some in the UK? Is that what happened?
Every time they'd come, yeah, we'd get to go. There's a few of us, and I think that I was trying out since 2005, and then in 2010 I was finally signed. But it was 5 years of being told no or hearing nothing. I think I even quit for a year because I was just so disappointed and heartbroken.
I was going to say, how do you overcome that?
When what am I doing wrong? I didn't know, And then I got lucky in 2010, and then, the rest is kind of history. But
what have you learned from the experience, not just there in WWE, but your experiences then, those years of just getting turned down and just keep trying and keep trying and keep trying?
Yeah, it was just more heartbreaking. One time, I think Drew, Sheamus, Wade, a friend of mine, Chris and Steve, I think they were Hayden Hansen as well. They all got signed one day, and I was the only one that didn't. And then I got a phone call from my boss at my real job, because I used to work in a CD shop, and he said, the shop's gone into liquidation. You don't have a job anymore. So not only had everyone gone except for me, I also lost my real job. So I think at that point I threw in the towel. For maybe about a year, I was just like, screw it. Obviously this isn't for me. And then I got the bug again, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try again and just keep trying out for the best.
What was it like then after all that?
It was
to finally get that shot.
Yeah, it didn't feel real for a long time, and then it was a big culture shock. You know, England is so different to the States. I didn't drive. You know, I hadn't really got, you know, travelled or done much. So coming across here, I was just like, oh my God, this is pretty scary. Luckily, Mason Ryan, he was a friend of ours back home, and he'd already been signed. He was there for about a year before me and a guy called Rampage Brown got there.
I remember Mason Ryan because Mason was really big, strong guy.
He's a hell of a talent. Like, he can do stuff that I can't do. You can give that guy a hip toss, he'll land on his feet. He'll do a front flip, you know. I can't do that. But yeah, so like luckily Barry looked after me and Rampage when we first got there. So like he eased us into it and, you know, helped us out a lot. Because if we'd have just come across there on our own, we'd have been lost, you know. So we moved straight in with Barry. We already had like a big house, so we could, you know, we had rooms there. And then, you know, we slowly got involved in it. But it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I'm sure now when you go to the new performance center, you go, wow, you know, I've made it. At the time, it was just a little warehouse, 2 rings in, I think. And you just went, oh, really? You know? And of course, when you first go there, it is scary as well because there's all these people there. They've been there for a long time, and they don't want, you know, no one wants new people walking in. So you're kind of on eggshells for a while until, you know.
Sure, you are, because job security, it's always this thing, no matter.
You know, it's the same. It's, you know, the same everywhere.
It's everywhere. That's everywhere.
You can work at McDonald's and someone comes.
Yeah, exactly, and you're like, uh oh.